Hello, hello. I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Running to Write, where I used to give questionable writing advice through running metaphors, but have since switched over to hosting productivity sprints. And I know, knock on wood and everything, but this is the first time in a long time that I have started on time without computer issues and ready to write. So I guess give myself a little pat on the back. Huzzah! I don't know. I feel like I should. I feel like I should make note of that. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Um, we have officially, unofficially adopted a dog. We sent away the documentation for that, and sorry, we've had a dog staying with us for 2 months now, and his name is Boone. He's a plot hound and something mixed, so likely plot hound and bloodhound. We don't know yet. We got the DNA testing thing, so we'll find out. Oh, cool. So it is official. Good to know. Sweet. And my wife has been searching for a dumb dog for a very long time. And I keep telling her that she's out of luck because, as we learned from our last plot hound, they are exceptionally smart when they want to be. They're also exceptionally lazy most time, like defiantly so. I am convinced that Boone would happily pee the couch if we didn't force him to get up. Now, he has had one or two incidents inside. Either way, he peed the floor before. A couple of times it's been in the kitchen, so it's been like right by the door to go outside. And with our last dog, he would like shake his head side to side so it would make noise, and that way he would get our attention. This dog just kind of holds it all in and just stands there like a creeper. So yes. Fact. Oh, if I were a dog, I would not move off the couch either unless I was forced off. And this dog, because we live near a busy road, he's very afraid to go for walks. So all we do is let him out and back, and then we go to like this park down the road a ways. Yeah, I know it's normal. I know it's normal, but even if it's not, he doesn't give us any indication that he has to go to the bathroom. So we just need to be like really aware. So one of the times he backslid because he went to a place where they could pee on the floor, a dogtopia place, and no, Richard, we have not. That is not normal. Sorry. So when he came from that, he was just used to pee on the floor, so he did. But I think the other times we just didn't understand his patterns and his daily habits, and so we were kind of expecting him to give us an indication they need to go outside, but we didn't get that, so we didn't take him outside fast enough. And yeah, he's getting more comfortable around our house. The problem is that he's blind and incredibly stubborn. So I have to kind of sometimes move his paws for him to get him to go upstairs, or especially to go outside when I know he has to go to the bathroom and he just really doesn't want to go. So it's really fun. But today, the whole reason why I bring this up is because about an hour ago, he came back inside from going to the bathroom, and I was upstairs finishing off my day from work, and my wife was, I don't know, I guess you were just cleaning up. Either way, she wasn't in the room that he was in, and he just sort of took it on himself to hop on top of his crate, grab his treats, and just start pulling out bones. So he was too smart for his own good, and he gave himself extra treats. So we have another smart dog when both of us wanted just dumb old dogs. But that's life. You know. Oh, hey, Miss Page, welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining in. Working on notes from the editor. Ooh, sounds like fun. Hopefully they're not too extensive. But again, every editor is going to give feedback. So hopefully it's useful feedback and things that you can do to make your stories even better. And yes, he is a great dog. As much crap as I give him, he is a wonderful, wonderful dog. Yep. So we just try and take him out to the park every so often because that way he can go outside. Although now it's too cold to really want to go there. We took him there yesterday, and his tail was wagging the whole time, but he kept shivering. And we're pretty sure it's not because he was nervous; it's because he was cold. So he had on his little sweater, but it was just too cold for him. So we didn't stay there that long. Oh well. Anyways, I'm glad you're all here, and I think it's time that we start getting to the writing. So I got 30 minutes up on the clock. At some point, I'm going to have to update these so that way I can get both Rufus and Boone, although the position and the exact posture is pretty much the same. Anyways, I'm going to unmute, and I'll see you all in 30 minutes. And welcome back, everyone. I finished chapter 24, one full cycle of it. And then I started, I'm about a quarter of the way done with chapter 25. So what I think I'm going to do to end out tonight is I'm going to do chapter 24 again during the second sprint, and then chapter 25 in the third. And the cool thing about where I am right now in the story is it's part of a pyramid. So it is, in theory, shorter chapters, and it's trying to build up in the tense moments as we reach towards some interesting moments. And I'm not going to go into too many more details there. Suffice to say that I can do faster iterations of chapters because, unlike earlier, where you have, say, 3,500 words, these are averaging about 1,700. So, chapter 24 is 1750, chapter 25 is 1550. So, I'm able to do those in a faster time frame. Hopefully, I'm able to do chapter 24 in 20 minutes and then chapter 25 in 20 minutes as well. And that way I can be ready for the rest of the week and I can try and do chapters 26 on my own, chapter 27 on my own, and then we can do my process where I go through each chapter at least twice. And this gives me a chance to flesh out a lot of those details. And Mama Maggie, hey, thanks for joining us. Glad to see you're here. Awesome, awesome that you were doing grocery shopping. I guess it's less fun, but I'm glad to see you're here. And Miss Blogger, what's everyone working on? You are working on your outline for fiction, fantasy, and contemporary paranormal romance novel with insta-love, forced proximity, and fated mate tropes. Glad to see you're here. Glad to see you're working on something productive. And welcome. Happy Monday. Good time reading. Good, 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 good. How many chapters left? There are 41. I mean, I have it all right here. There's 41 chapters. No, 40 chapters plus one epilogue. So it's a total of 41. Spoilers, I guess. And Miss Page, Miss Amy Page, you had phone call. Oh, well, hopefully, I mean, phone calls are still productive. So it's a good thing that you were handling life. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry about that. The notes from the editor. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. It's very difficult, and I've definitely had issues with one of my first developmental editors because she recognized that there were some flaws with my story, but all of her suggestions were kind of counter to what the story was trying to tell. So we tended to butt heads early on, and it wasn't as much of a collaborative work as it should have been as we worked towards writing the best story that I can. So I remember thinking that her idea to fix the problem weren't that great, and so I just sort of brainstormed. I had a brainstorm session, and I think I talked through with my wife, who was able to help me figure it out and work through those problems in the story. Fair enough. You and I disagree completely on this one. I think that writing with a blank page is less fun. It's so much easier to just tweak it to fix the problems within the story when I actually have something written. When I go through the editing process, I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense. Well, here's a plot hole. Well, this, well, this, well, this, well, this. And then I can easily see how to fix it. I can say, oh, let me just write a couple of sentences and that flushes that out. Let me cut this right here. And editing is where my stories really take the life that I want them to lead. Unlike writing where it feels like I'm pulling teeth the entire time because I don't necessarily know where I want to go. Sometimes I write the wrong thing and then I have to go back and change things, but editing is where I truly shine. Or I feel like my story truly shine. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of work and there's a lot of going back and forth and there's a lot of fixing mistakes that I made during the draft 0 and every subsequent edit beyond that. But I do like that part of writing more than the actual part of writing, if that's a weird way of thinking about it. I like the editing a lot more than I like writing on a blank page. Hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Our dog is very hungry. Oh, yeah, a fan of your newsletter. That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Mama Maggie Ward. Sorry, sounds weird. Um, Mama Maggie Ward, thank you for sharing that his newsletter was nice. And yeah, you did drink gingerbread Pepsi, which I'm paraphrasing here was an abomination, and you took a sip of it and then poured out most of it. So fun times. Let's see here. You added a whole new chapter recently, and the drafting process was just a lot of fun and very cathartic. That's fair. You and I have different approaches to how we write our stories, and I it's like sculpting. So you like having just massive clay to work with and sort of shaping as you see fit within your story. I like just kind of hitting that mold with a sledgehammer and then going through it and actually sculpting it into the shape that I want. That might be the best way of putting it. But we've been talking for long enough, and so it is now time to go. Oh boy, never mind. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, 15-step editing process. I completely understand. My zero drafts are troublesome. And let's see here. Yeah, that's not surprising. According to Richard, they are terrible. I've tried. I went to Disney World and I remember them having like a Pepsi thing, or it might not have been Pepsi, but either way, they had a soda machine with just all types of different flavors and it was delicious. So I remember trying a lot of them and I remember also getting sick because I drank too much sugar and soda, but it was good. So, anyways, time for productivity sprint number 2. And then I'm running a little bit behind now because I was talking too long, but I'm really excited that you're all here. So I'm going to try and keep things short during the break between our second and third productivity sprint, but I'm going to let things go underway and I'm going to go on mute for 20 minutes. So see you soon. And welcome back, everyone. I finished chapter 24. I did a couple of tweaks after the fact, after the alarm went off, and I wanted to make sure that I got those on paper or on the computer, so that way I was ready to, I don't know. That way I didn't forget about them. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I had a couple of tiny little tweaks that I want to work in there, and I came across a couple of words that have become crutches, and so I need to set up a calendar event to remove a significant number of all my alls and all my stills. So I have 304 instances of all, which is far, far too many. And I have 94 instances of still. So I'm just going to have to rewrite all those sentences that involve them. For reference, I'm pretty bad with until as a crutch word because that's at 60. You know, good but not great. I got 52 buts, 40 evens, 10 clenches, 14 justs, and you get the point. I have a lot of crutch words that I'm trying to remove and parse out in my story. Let's see here. Nice, nice. People are talking about what they're eating for dinner, so I guess we're doing something healthy. Yeah, we had a delicious beef bourguignon yesterday where Adriana took the time to make it. Tonight's a little bit faster because it's a Monday night, so less on the fancy feast. Carla Scott Walden, thank you for joining in. Yeah, beans on toast. That is pretty fun. Heard of that before. Oh, crush forbidden words. That had been, yep. That had been then this, like just very actually, really, nearly, which star? Star I haven't heard of, but growl, blink, shrug, none, side, yell, shout, exclaim, said. Well, said is always a crush word, but you kind of need it because then you do like exclaimed and shouted and all the other synonyms for it. But it becomes pretty obvious as to what you're doing in that case. And a lot of times you don't need to do anything more complicated than said. I'm actually very good about very because I'm aware of how much of a pain it is. And I've broke myself of that habit where if something is, oh, whatever. There's the Dead Poet Society, I think, that does very and then whatever. But I use a better descriptor instead of using very. And it's really fun because actually kind of would be a crutch word for me, except it makes sense because I'm not using actually as in what is often a crutch word. And same thing with really, because I'm dealing with some metaphysical elements, which may or may not be real. And so they are actually talking about whether things actually exist. And so it makes sense. That sentence was a bad example because I could have just said whether or not something exists, but it does make sense more so within the context of my story. Although, let me find this out. So let's see how bad I am with actually. Okay, yeah. So there's only 5 instances anyways, and they all make sense. So as long as I do it with purpose and intention, how about really? 4 instances of really. So I've already gone through and cleared through some of those crutch words. Same thing with growl because I have an actual talking being in my story, so there's a lot of growling. Yeah, and certainly, yeah, that makes sense too. So if it is a part of speech, it can signify culture, background, linguistics, you name it. Um, Let me see. I don't know. I'm less concerned with said. Yeah, I have 127 instances of said spread out over 90,000 words. So I am less concerned about that, and ah, I feel less concerned about that because not only are there the instances of so and so said, this person said whatever, but there's also the follow up comments. So, for example, so there's some language issues, and this one person is able to speak both the languages in the scene, and so she was able to follow most of what was said. So, in that instance, said isn't really used as a crutch word, whereas later on, we're doing this, she said it would be a crutch word there. So, of the 127 instances, probably I don't know, half of them are crutches. Let's round up. 3/4 of them are crutches, but even so, I don't know. I'm okay with that. Huh. Yeah, everybody has their crutch words. Yeah. Um, no comment on the food. I just enjoy things that taste great. Anyways, let's get in on the last, third, and final sprint for the evening. I'm going to start off in chapter 25. I finished chapter 24. I'm going to work on chapter 25. And this will be the second iteration for both of those. So I will successfully have moved on afterwards. And I can work on chapter 26, chapter 27. I'll figure it out. Chapter 26 for tomorrow, which means 26, 27, 28. Which means that by Monday, I know I keep doing this. I keep setting up goals for me meet. I could, in theory, get up. Well, no, that's too ambitious. It would be quite ambitious if I can get up to chapter 30. I don't know if I can do quite that much. But either way, hope for the best, I guess. So let me make a note here to get up to chapter 30 for my edits. Depends on how busy the weekend is. All right. But with that in mind, let's get started on the third and final sprint. So I will see you all on the other side of 20 minutes, and then we'll close out and say goodnight. So take care. And that's the third productivity sprint for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Mama Maggie, thank you for being here. Carla Sat Walden, thank you, thank you. Adriana, as always, a pleasure. Let's see here. Miss Page, appreciate you for being here and for working on your edits. And Richard, always a pleasure. I think that's, oh, Miss Blogger, thank you for signing in and for working on your outline. Always fun hanging out with you all on a Monday night. Good to get the evening started off right, or sorry, the week started off right, because again, things can only go uphill from here, I guess, or however I close this out. So anyways, I will see you all later a week from now, where hopefully I will be up to chapter 30. I make no promises. It might work out. I have a couple of things going on this week that will distract me from it, but there's a possibility I can jump up from working on chapter 25 and finishing chapters 24 and 25 to getting up to start chapter 30 next week, which means I will be just speeding along in this editing round. So thank you for being here, and I wish you all a very happy Monday. See ya.